We use for these definitions, these words, the reproduction of the form of a person or an object, especially a sculpture likeness. Physics and optical formed duplicate, counterpart, or representation, production of an object. And then I got the number 3 I like the best. One that closely exactly resembles another, double. They use those in Hollywood when the expensive actor doesn't want to jump off of a building 100 floors up, they get a double to do it. That's an image. So that word is appropriate. When you want to talk about this being in you and in me, from the original definitions of principle, we are images of this principle. Right? Now we're beginning to flesh ourselves out. But still non-physical.
Well, it's nice to be able to talk about oneself and still without having to be forced into this context, because people won't understand some of this stuff. But if you talk about the image, then you start. It's
a little bit.
It's starting to get it's starting to get more conventional.
You see, the earlier movies, God knows how they do it now, used to put a film that it had a series of pictures. And they were still shots, but when you flip them fast, there's a little book you can buy.
Yeah, I go to the
and you flip them and you see movement.
Yeah, they have them at the Moving Image Museum.
Now, when you put this in the thing and you project it on the wall, you see something moving.
You see the movement.
But if you want to change that picture, you got to go back in the camera and change all those things. You have a series of images that you're projecting out on the screen of your life, which is not really physical. It looks like it's physical, but you're imposing. You see? So the image is very important to understand. One that closely or exactly resembles another. So you're the image, you are not the source, but you're the image of it. It's that mirror reflection. You can look in the mirror and see yourself. That is you, yes? And it ain't going to do nothing that you don't do. That's what we're talking about. The creative system. See what I'm saying? The image on the computer is only, if you hit it right with the mouse, you're going to get a whole series of stuff. Right? That's pretty cool.
Sure.
Okay. Now, under image, we're imaging all this stuff, and we haven't really an individual, but we do image it. We haven't individualized it yet. And we haven't personalized it. Really, from individualization image to personalize it, which means we're set free from the source. That can move on its own. Then it's still an individual of you, but it has some independence now, because it can choose to recognize that it's your image, or it can say, fuck you, I believe in good and evil. I don't just believe in good. You see? That's it, but I can't think. I cannot make a choice. Cat hunt. Oh, it's an awful experience. You can't move your body, you can't do nothing. Because your body, you don't know how to tell what to tell the body. To run is called the flight or fight syndrome. You see? People who hate their jobs can't flight because they got bills to pay. So they take it interiorly and get heart attacks and ulcers. Because the animal can run. But a man in today's world cannot run until he gets another job to take care of the first one. Same with a wife, right? You can't, why get married? Because this way we're more free to split and it'll be less painful. Not really, but financially, yes. Based on deduction. Right, so we'll go back to deduce. To reach in conclusion by reasoning, to infer from a general principle. Deduction refers to a general principle. The general principle in this way is that it is one whole and abundantly good. There is no evil at this point. It cannot be evil. So this is saying deduce as to induce. Inductive. There's two ways of reasoning. Now let's go with inductive now. We talked about deductive, which is an assumed fact. Deduction says Watson, Dr. whatever his name was, English spook detective. Dear Dr. Watson, it's all deductive.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes.
Bad is bad. That's it. Good is good. That's the way it is. That's deductive thinking. Yes is yes, no is no. Inductive does comparison. Well, look at this. This white rose is bigger than this one. Well, this one's already dead. Well, so is this one. None of them are alive because they all been cut off from their source of energy. But they're sucking up something. But anyhow, that's comparison. See, reason is reason. But it's inductive. So inductive is an act or an incident of inducting. So we'll go back to induct. To place ceremoniously or formally in an office position, install. To admit to military service. Physics, to induce. Middle English. Induction. Ceremony. Electricity. The generation of electromotive forces in a closed circuit by varying magnetic flux through the circuit. Flux meaning the electricity is fluctuating, so it's going back and forth, it's changing. The process of deriving general principles from particular facts. See, from general principles, particular principles are facts. You see? That's inductive, your comparison. You're comparing apples and oranges, or night and day. That's inductive thinking. If I want to do deductive thinking, I look out there and say, it's nighttime. But it isn't, because the sun on the other side of the planet. You see, but for now, in this area, geographically speaking, it's nighttime. So that's deductive by observation and participating. I said yes or no. It's nighttime.
Yeah, so
he's defining his terms. Like any good teacher, you must have. What I'm doing here is I'm defining my terms not by any religious attitude, but by the American Heritage Dictionary, English language, not by Latin, not by Greek. Intuition, the act or faculty of knowing or sensing without use of rational processes. Immediate cognition. Intuition. A sense of something not evident. Interesting enough, it says, or deducible. We did inductive, we did instinct, and we did intuition, right?
Right.
Okay, now, and we did also in. Both mean inside, whatever. Did we look up in?
No, we did not look up in.
That's the last one. In, the number one. Within the limits, bounds or area of, was hit in the face, born in the spring, a chair in the garden, from the outside to a point within. Number two, to or at a situation, a condition of, was split in two in debt, having the activity, occupation, and function of a life in politics, the officer in command, during the active process of trip in racing for the bus. You see? Now here down here, in means an inch. In is a symbol for the element of Indian, and Indiana. Here's another in. Inarticulate. Thank you. You do good, Judge. English mostly. Usually assimilated before. And then here's number two. Into, within. Another one, in, stuff. Neutral chemical compound. That's very interesting. It's
like
a neutral what did I say?
No, I'm saying it reminds me like inert.
Neutral chemical compound. So in is neutral. But instinct and intuition are almost the same, but they're not. But it's in the same ballpark.
Well, one is you already kind of have, and this is something you use that you connect to.
Very brilliant. Thank you. Never forget that.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
Here's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, please.
When you are in 9/11 and you're on the 99th floor, and you hear a big boom, and you look out the window and you see another building just like yours fallen down, and you got smoke in the hallway, and you're sitting there and say, well, the boss said we're not to move until we're told to. Are you going to stay there?
Luckily, I don't.